Hello, good evening, and welcome to a new episode of Arguably the Reading Quest. I am Nishant. Before we start, just an earnest appeal. For years, I have been giving you videos on literature, on philosophy, and on the nuances of reading. Now, if you want this channel to survive, please spread the word of mouth aggressively. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And most importantly, please spread the word as far as possible. Only with your help, the channel can survive. So welcome back to the episode, guys. As I promised, in the last episode, I suggested non-fiction books for beginners. Apart from literature and philosophy, people who are not interested in reading pure literature, pure philosophy, can delve deeper into, different kind of non-fiction books apart from the genre of literature and philosophy. So as some of you have requested a second episode, so here I am suggesting a second episode on the same theme. So here I will again suggest one book related to economics, one book on history, one book collection of essays from newspaper articles by an academician, a collection of political essays by another very prominent thinker from India, and one collection that, true anthology from all over the thinkers worldwide. So close 5 books I'll be suggesting. So the very first book that I will suggest is The Algebra of Infinite Justice by Arundhati Roy. Now Arundhati Roy needs no introduction. A writer who is as lionized as she is demonized. But beyond this lionization and demonization, you should pick up her book, open any bloody page, and read it for you to judge whether she is worth reading or not. She is known for her calm and serene voice, freshness of expression, and a voice of burning conscience in the turbulent times such as ours. So, a few weeks after India detonated a thermonuclear device in 1998, Arundhati Roy wrote The End of Imagination. So this is an anthology of essays in which The End of Imagination, The Algebra of Infinite Justice, and other such essays have appeared in various magazines, and it has been compiled as one single anthology. This I have at Penguin. However, the new one, the cover has changed, but this is a very beautiful, pocket-sized green color edition. It's been with me for the past 15 years or so. So The End of Imagination attracted worldwide attention as a voice of a brilliant Indian writer speaking out with clarity and conscience against nuclear weapons. Over the next 3.5 years, she wrote a series of political essays on a diverse range of momentous subjects, from the illusory benefits of big dams to the downside of corporate globalization and the US government's war against terror. So it was first published in 2001. Now it's been 25 years since this book is published. So please read this book. This book, I believe all of you must have. I mean, it's vanishingly rare for a writer to have such a calm and serene voice, free of any acerbity, at the same time speaking of all the kind of atrocities around the world with a calm, detached indifference. So this book is highly recommended. Now the second book that comes to my mind is by an academician. Although it is very rare for an academician to have written something so frequently in newspaper article, but this academician has written extensively in newspaper articles, right from the condition of the universities to what education should be, to the sociology of education, to what's wrong with the modern world, to everyday object of contemplation, and one of my most favorite academicians today. I value him so much, next only to Amartya Sen, and he is none other than Shiv Vishwanathan. Those who have read the Hindu and Indian Express every day, Shiv Vishwanathan is no stranger. So this book, Theatres of Democracy by Shiv Vishwanathan. This is a compilation of editorial by Shiv Vishwanathan, written in various, just let me read it out. Written over the last 20 years, they engage with issues as diverse as the new dimension of violence, the value of dissent, creativity in popular culture, and the pathologies of nationalism and religious fundamentalism. So Vishwanathan offers novel portraits of politicians, intellectuals, and sports and film personality. And you see, the content are divided into 15 parts altogether. 15 parts and close to 100 essays. So, and let's say the first part is reading society. Now, there are various essays related to the sociological conditions of India. For example, the necessity of corruption is one essay. Dreams of childhood. Maggie adulterated my memory, not food, is one essay. The second part is an invitation to politics. Invitation to politics, there are multiple essays. For example, one essay is Ramdev versus Hazare, Anna Hazare. The Power of Mayawati's Park. Ambedkar Cartoon Row. The third part is Global Angels, the Dance of Democracy is one such essay in that part. The Tibetan Question is another essay. The Cowardice of Salman Khurshid is another essay. The seventh part is The Necessity of Dissent. A fable called Singur, The Fate of Idealism, Nuclear Energy, No Longer a Sacred Cow, A Chronicle of a Struggle Retold is one such essay. Part 8 talks of taking policy seriously, law and the public good, rethinking education, a reductive reading of Santhara, right? And then we have multiple parts. For example, part 9 is the gossip of knowledge. Part 10 is constructing science. Part 11 is popular media. Part 12 is the stuff of sports. Part 13 is persons, persona and personalities. Part 14 is a touch of sadness. Part 15 is afterthoughts, a miscellany. So this book is highly recommended. I don't know whether you have, really passionately engaged with Shiv Vishwanathan or not. One academician whom you won't see people talking much about it, social media, but I believe there are secret fans out there. So please read it to experience Shiv Vishwanathan. He is a very, very calm and serene voice. Another book that I want to suggest and I go back to again and again is Inequality Re-Examined by Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen needs no introduction. Inequality Re-Examined is the first book, if you want to read Amartya Sen on his core areas of economics, is to be read. Because this is one book wherein Amartya Sen engages with all the topics that have occupied him throughout his life. Inequality Re-Examined. For example, how the concept of social welfare is inextricably linked to the concept of individual welfare. What is welfare economics? For example, he also concentrates on the capability of different person to achieve valuable functioning by investigating inequalities. He also talks of equality, but rather than talking only of equality, he also talks of equality for what? The practical importance of the equality for what phrase turns out to be the pervasive diversity of human being, which makes equality in one sphere conflict substantially with equality in other. So this is, of course, a lucid book. At the same time, if you are wanting to read something very sensible in economics, this is one book that is to be read. I mean, Amartya Sen is one writer that should be in your bookshelves, definitely. Now, please tell me, when was the last time when you read a history book that feels very captivating, very mesmerizing, as if you are reading a fictional story wherein the characters are, just coming out through the use of words, anecdotes, memories, and metaphors. It feels as if you're not reading history, but you're reading a real story. Yes, I'm not talking of Romila Thapar. I'm not talking of Irfan Habib. I'm not talking of Will Durant. I'm not talking of Bertrand Russell either. I'm not talking of Hobsbawm and E.H. Carr. Yes. So what on this surprise? I am talking about an English language professor who also happens to write a book on the Great Uprising of 1857 India. Yes, I'm talking of Pramod Nair. Pramod Nair, The Great Uprising. I don't know whether you know this book or not. Please do write me in the comment if you have read this book. If you've not, you're supposed to pick it up. Pramod K. Nair, it's published at Penguin. And it was published as India marked 150th year of 1857 uprising. And this meticulously researched and vivid work recounts a time both tragic and compelling. And, multiple figures are discussed. And, the detailed descriptions of mutiny's main figure and all such things are discussed. And lot of anecdotes that reanimates the past. So this book is very, very beautiful. I know there are multiple books available on 1857. I have read 2-3 books on 1857, Christopher Hibbert as well, including this one. But this book is so captivating. Pramod K. Nair. If you have not read anything recently in history, if you are planning to read something in history, soon, this book should be read. Now, this book I'm going to suggest is a gem in critical reading. It enhances your critical ability. So it so happened that one of the editors of Guardian, John Brockman, wrote some hundreds of letters to world's most influential philosophers and thinkers and scientists and mathematicians and psychologists and chemists and biologists all over the world to ask them one single question. And that single question was, what do you think are those ideas whose time is up? What do you think are those ideas that must die? What do you think are those ideas that have to be discarded? And surprisingly, some 175 of the most influential scientists and economists and artists and philosophers, wrote back to him that, okay, these scientific ideas or this scientific idea is ready for retirement. And the book titled is This Idea Must Die. Please do let me know in the comment section if you knew about this book by any chance or not. So 175 shorter essays on those ideas which were very influential, but now because of some kind of discrepancy or some kind of newer findings and research, these ideas have to be discarded. So there is in this book one or the other thing for each one of us. Be you are a student of, whether you're a student of history, whether you're a student of philosophy, literature, social science, or just a curious reader, whether you are a God-believing person or whether you are an atheist or an agnostic, I think this book has something for all of us individually. So this book is published at Harper Perennial Classics. This Idea Must Die. So this book is very beautiful. It's organized. Every essay you will read, it feels as if you are reading a paragraph on critical reasoning or logical reasoning. So why this idea came into existence? What are the newer finding and the flaw in the idea, and hence why this idea is to be discarded. So this book is not to be read, just A to Z. You look into the content page and then you look into, what are the chapters that interest you the most. And then you start reading. For example, just to let you know, anthropocentricity is one idea. Human uniqueness is one idea. Animal mindlessness is another idea. Science can maximize our happiness is one idea that must die. Beauty is in the eyes of beholder is one idea that must be discarded, you see. The illusion of certainty is one idea that must be discarded. The power of statistics is one idea that must be discarded. Mental illness is nothing but brain illness is one idea that must be discarded. The illusion of scientific progress is one idea that must be discarded. Certainty, absolute truth, exactitude, these ideas are some of the ideas. Universal grammar is one idea that must be discarded. Altruism, the altruism hierarchy. Altruism is one essay, the altruism hierarchy is another essay. Humans are by nature social animals is one idea that must be discarded. You see. Nature versus nurture debate is one idea that must be discarded. So this book is a gem. I mean, you have to keep it. So guys, that is all for today from this video of mine. I have suggested, 5 good books to you. Please do let me know how did you like the video. Please spread the word. Happy reading, guys.